Hello, my name's Brenna, and in today's video I'm going to show you how I painted this wooden heart sign. I got it from the Dollar Tree, and I used acrylic paints. Okay, let's get started! So here I have my heart, and I took out the string that it came with, and I'm starting to cover it in black paint. This is acrylic paint. It's the basic brand. And for my paintbrushes, I've had them forever, so I don't really remember where I got them. I think they're from AC Moore. Alright, now that it's painted black, I'm going to start my palette. I have my red here, in the shade Brilliant Red. Alright, now I'm going to get my white, my bronze paint, which is really cool. It looks like the metal and it's very shiny. And finally some green. My main inspiration for making this sign was to use my bronze paint. I really like the way it shines, and I also especially like it contrasted with the black, with the dark background. It's very pretty. So now I'm making my vines. I don't have a major plan at this point. I'm kind of just trying to wing it, kind of like see what I can come up with. I know I wanted to do florals and vines, so I wanted to do the vines in the background so that they peek through the flowers. At this point, I really let the paintbrush do a lot of the work. The paintbrush I'm using here is a pointed paintbrush, so if you fill it with enough paint and just kind of push it down from the tip to the back, it makes this nice little oval shape. And I didn't have to do much work for it to come out looking the way I wanted it to look. So I'm mixing my paints to get the color for the flowers. I'm kind of thinking red roses, and I wanted to go dark to light. So I'm just playing around with my paints to see what colors I can come up with and see which ones I like. When I was painting this, I didn't use a reference photo. I decided to just paint flowers based on memory. So this is not going to be extremely realistic or a detailed piece, but I had fun with it. So for this, I'm doing a few large roses and then a couple of rosebud clusters. I tried to place them sporadically around and not cluster everything in one area. Roses have a lot of shadows to them and layers and depth because of all the petals. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm mixing my colors and trying to make shadows and light areas. So now I'm coming in with my green paint and I'm making some little stems and little leaves. Again, I kind of use the paintbrush to my advantage. It's shaped like a leaf, and I'm just really globbing on the paint and then pushing the paintbrush down, and it makes this nice pointed oval. I'm trying to do a lot of different shades of the same kind of mixture, like some lights and some darks, to get like some depth into the work. I'm also trying to paint these leaves and stems all throughout the piece and fill in those dark areas. My palette has some dried paint on it, so if you're looking at my palette and wondering how I'm not mixing my colors all together and making like brown, it's just because lots of the new paint is on top of dried paint. I tend to like to let my paint dry and then peel it off later once it's a thick enough layer. Maybe I'll do a, paint peel palette video in the future. It's kind of fun to do. We used to do it in art class all the time. Because when you try to wash wet paint out of a palette, it's hard to get the completely clean, and it's so much easier if you just let the paint dry. So now I'm gonna add some light colors, some light reds, and it's really gonna create depth with the roses. I'm also making C shapes to make them look more realistic, like more like roses instead of just blobs of color. Adding some highlights. So now to do my line work, I get black paint and I mix it with water. I like to do this. It makes it a lot easier to paint. It flows really nicely. It's kind of like an ink texture and consistency. And now the fun part, I'm going to do the line work for the roses. I really feel this makes the roses look just that much more like a rose instead of just a glob of color. So when I stepped back and looked at it, I felt like the leaves were just too dark, so I made this nice light shade and I'm adding a little highlight to each leaf. I really like this shade that I created for the highlight. I really think it changed the piece for the better and was more of what I was visualizing in my head. Now I'm just adding last little bit of highlights to the roses. I'm using rather just plain white or a little bit of like a very light pink in these areas right next to my line work. And here it is, the finished product. I'm really happy with it. I put back on the little rope that came with it, and I hung it on the door. I think it would be just such a nice little sign for spring or summer, or maybe like any time of the year, really. And can you believe I got this at the Dollar Tree for $1? Alright, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.